Good evening, Kai Lifers. Now, if you're watching this video, then chances are that you are either someone who already plays chess or someone who would like to play chess but doesn't really know where to start. Now, I am on my sort of chess learning and discovery journey. I'm studying all the time. In fact, I'm now studying more than I'm actually playing games. I first kind of got into chess only a couple of years ago. Basically played a load of games on chess.com, sort of won half of them, lost the other half, and didn't really make any progress whatsoever because I didn't really understand what I was doing. And this time round, in 2025, I'm taking it really, really seriously. So I'm playing fewer games, but I'm doing loads of studying. But I think, like with anything in life, you sort of start to pick away at the layers. I don't know if you pick away at layers. I was thinking of an onion, but you don't really peel an onion by picking away at it. But stay with me. So you start to sort of pick away or peel away at the superficial, the outside of something, anything, any hobby. And you're like, yeah, I really want to do this thing. I really like this onion. I like the look of this onion. But then as you start to peel away at it, you're like, God, there's a lot to this. There's a lot to this onion. And there is a lot to chess and being good at chess. So I did the thing that any reasonable human in 2025 would do. And I asked ChatGPT to help. And I thought I'd give it a prompt that wasn't something as simple as just, hey, how can I get better at chess? Or can you help me with this specific thing? I thought, if I'm going to ask ChatGPT, and I've used ChatGPT quite a lot over the last couple of years for various things, I thought, if I'm going to ask ChatGPT for help in this, I need to just give it a directive. I need to just be really, really blunt. But I also need to phrase it in a way where, if it can help me, it's going to help me in a way that it gives me a tangible path to growth. Because I think with chess, there's so much to it. And again, like with any hobby, there's so much to these hobbies. And you thought, you tend to think, where do I start with it? And you get started and you're like, okay, well, there's so much. What order do I do things in? So this is what I asked ChatGPT. I didn't even ask. There's no question mark in my statement. It's I gave ChatGPT a statement. And usually I'm really polite with ChatGPT. And I'm like, hey, Chat, how are you today? And it's like, yeah, great. And I've got the memory of it turned on. So it's a bit creepy because it'll be like, yeah, great. And then ask me to do with things in my life that I've mentioned and already kind of regretting that. Anyway, there was none of that. There was no small talk. I simply said to ChatGPT, it's coming. I simply said to ChatGPT, I want to master chess in record time. Create an unconventional learning approach that bypasses traditional methods and focuses on the vital 20% that delivers 80% of results. No question mark. No, could you do this? No, is it possible to do that? And I feel like anytime I've asked ChatGPT in the past, and I've said, you know, softly, or it's a bit generic, it'll say, well, yeah, you could do this, or here's a fairly generic answer. Not this time. Not this time. Instead, we have something that ChatGPT has proposed will cut through the noise. I'm quoting here, will cut through the noise and deliver maximum results fast. So it is a 7-point plan that is then condensed into a 3-month schedule. And we're going to go through what they are. So ChatGPT's initial answer was, got it. Straight on board. Straight, it was like we're in a board meeting and I've said, do this thing. And it's like, yeah, well, what about this? I said, got it. Here's an unconventional, hyper-efficient chess training plan that cuts through the noise and delivers maximum results fast. So we're going to go through each one of those steps. One of the steps is hilarious, but the others actually seem fairly decent. So number 1. Compressed theory, the 100-hour grandmaster approach. So it says, forget openings beyond move 10. Okay, so 5 moves white, 5 moves black. And it's like, forget your openings beyond then. Memorizing deep opening theory is a waste at this stage. Instead, learn 10 versatile opening structures. And it says, for example, the London, the Caro-Kann, the Najdorf Sicilian, and understand the ideas behind them. Its second point in this was focus on core patterns, master 50 must-know middle game plans, and 100 essential end games. And then it gives you examples of king pawn opposition, Lucina Philidor, which is basically the end game from white and black's point of view with rook and pawn. It says this covers 80% of practical scenarios. So, compressed theory, forget any openings beyond the 10th move. That's the first suggestion here. So learn 10 versatile opening structures as white and as black, and understand the ideas behind them, but don't worry yourself with anything beyond there. Because then separately from that, it says master 50 must-know middle game plans and 100 essential end games. Point number two, brutal pattern recognition training. Now, we know chess really ultimately is about pattern recognition and pattern recall because it's about getting into different situations. Anyway, ChatGPT's all over it. Number two, it says, try the Chessable Woodpecker Method on steroids. Solve 500 tactical puzzles, then repeat them daily until you can solve them each within 10 seconds. Now, if you're saying, I don't know what you're talking about, there's this book called The Woodpecker Method. And essentially, it is, well, I mean, I'll explain to you on the back. So you need to solve a large number of puzzles in a row, then solve the same puzzles again and again, only faster. So the idea behind this is that you set yourself a month to solve a set number of puzzles. Now, in here are over 1,100 puzzles. So you could say to yourself, right, I'm going to do all of them in a month. There'd be a lot of puzzles. You solve them. You have a day's break or a few days break, and then you solve them all again, but with only 2 weeks instead of 4 weeks. And again, you have a break, then you come back to it, and then you solve them in a week. And the idea is that you get faster and faster and faster at solving the same puzzles. You don't look at the solution. You just make sure you solve it, and then it goes into your head. That's the idea. ChatGPT says do this, but on steroids. Solve 500 and repeat them daily. Daily. 500 puzzles daily. Now, it says something at the end of all of this, which I'm going to come back to because it's a fairly pertinent question that ChatGPT asked. Remember, there's no questions in this. I gave it a statement, it's given me a statement back and been like, boom! But it does pose a question at the end. So solve 500 tactical puzzles, then repeat them daily until you solve them each within 10 seconds. Its second point here is blindfold chess drills. Play moves in your head while looking at an empty board. Start with 2 move sequences, then build up. So have a board, has no pieces on it. Play imaginary chess. Number 3. AI-powered training for instant feedback. Now, check the link in the description of this video because it mentions 3 AI engines here, and I give you a breakdown of what each one is in my separate bot video. So it's got Stockfish Sparring. Play Stockfish at reduced strength and analyze only your losing moves. Maya for realistic training. Maya, which is a human-like engine, helps develop practical play instincts. And then you've got Leela Zero, Leela Chess Zero for strategic insight. So study games between Leela Chess Zero and Stockfish to absorb positional concepts. Now, this is probably a very good idea because you're watching 2 AI go at it against each other. They're 2 computers. They're going to choose basically the best move every time. So you can just watch a game between these 2 and see why that's the top computer move. Number 4, no excuses blitz and bullet mastery. It says here play 100 plus blitz or bullet games weekly to accelerate instinct development, which is probably a good idea. Now listen, there are downsides with playing blitz and bullet. Blitz and bullet are basically 5, 3 and 1 minute games. One of them is that you blunder a lot because there's big time constraint, especially in bullet where you only have a minute total when you start the game. But it does force you to think fast. And that's the idea that ChatGPT is proposing here. It accelerates instinct development. So you can just be like, bam, bam, bam. Again, you have pattern recognition. You get into certain instances, you're like, oh, I see what they're trying to do. I see what the opponent's trying to do. I see what I'm trying to do. And you try and do it fast. It then says a 10-second post-mortem rule. I love the fact that it uses the phrase post-mortem. I don't know where it's got that from to just say post-mortem. Anyway, immediately after each game, recall your critical mistake and then move on. So you play a game of bullet, play a blitz game, and if you lose, maybe even if you don't lose, immediately after the game, review the game, look at what your critical mistake was, absorb it, and then move on. Now we come to maybe my favorite number. Number 5, psychological warfare and dirty tricks. A key part, by the way. I said at the beginning, I want to master chess in record time, create an unconventional learning approach that bypasses traditional methods and focuses on the vital 20% that delivers 80% of results. And bullet point number 5 is psychological warfare and dirty tricks. So it says here pre-move preparation. Develop speed hacks to win on time in practical settings. Now, we all know that in a bullet game or a blitz game, pre-moving can be the difference between winning or losing because you just hemorrhage time without even realizing. So pre-moving can help. Often, though, pre-moving doesn't help because if you're playing against someone that can anticipate what the most likely pre-move is, then they'll play something that actually just leaves a piece hanging and you blunder. But again, this is what ChatGPT says. Psychological openings. It says use offbeat openings, example the orangutan, the Borg defense, to throw opponents off. Now the orangutan is the Polish defense, I think, or Polish opening, which I think is B4 as the opening. So it's an opening for white. So they use offbeat openings. And this can often work depending on what your elo level is. The last one is maybe my favorite. Trash talk yourself. So internal dialogue like, if I blunder, I do 20 push-ups, sharpens focus. I actually think it's quite a good idea. Now listen, 20 push-ups. I'm a personal trainer. I do push-ups all the time. I love push-ups. 20 push-ups is always an effort. It's going to be more of an effort for some people than others, but maybe come up with your own version that sort of, it's effort, but it's doable, and it's not necessarily going to restrict you from actually trash talking yourself. And yeah, there you go. Key component. Beat yourself up verbally. Number 6 of 7, over the board efficiency. So this is for when you're playing over the board, not online, not on chess.com or Lichess or whatever. Hand movement economy. Train to move pieces with minimal hand travel. Shaves off seconds. Which is, true. Automatic candidate moves. Every position instantly identify 3 logical moves. Now you can do that online. That doesn't need to be over the board. Every position instantly identify 3 logical moves. Again, I think that comes down to probably puzzle solving and playing and being able to observe and see patterns and positions that you'll get in where you can see how a certain piece can be defended, or a certain piece might be attacking, or forks, or pins, magnet moves, all that kind of thing. Okay, and number 7, the last one, is maybe my favorite. Be the least favorite for any of you watching who have boyfriends, girlfriends, fiancés, wives, husbands. Neural reinforcement via multi-sensory learning. And it says, listen to chess podcasts while sleeping. And then in brackets, subconscious learning experiment, which is interesting. I love the way that it throws in experiment there. Basically, we're going to be the people experimenting with this. So there you go. You can listen to Gotham Chess while you're awake, and you can listen to Gotham Chess while you sleep. Verbalize moves while playing. Describing your thought process out loud improves retention. So when you're playing, whether it's online or over the board, say your move. And that's it. Those are your 7 steps. But it's not done, because it ends by saying execution plan. Basically, how do you do all those 7 things? What's the way to do it? It says month 1, tactics and endgames. And then in brackets, 70% of your training. Month 2 is middle game and psychological play. Remember, that's going to be doing lots of push-ups and beating yourself up psychologically. Month 3 is AI sparring and blitz bullet mastery. And it ends by asking, are you up for this level of intensity? It's the only question. I didn't ask it a question. It didn't ask me a question back. But it basically said, touche. Here is how you master chess. But can you do that? Can you do that? Do you think you can do that? I'm telling you right now, I'm going to try and do it. as I say, I've got the Woodpecker Method. This is going to be a big part of doing that thing. Yes, it means if I commit myself, or if you want to commit yourself to doing eventually 1,000 tactical puzzles in one day, which I don't even know I don't know if that's humanly possible, probably for a grandmaster or an international master. I don't know for an amateur, complete amateur, but I'm going to give it a go. But there you go. There is your 7-step guide for mastering chess as proposed by ChatGPT. Let me know in the comments if you think it's viable. Let me know in the comments if you're going to give it a go. I'm going to give it a go. See how we get on. Until the next video, take care. Much love.